he stood out as a football player. Statistically, what he did on the field, scouting-wise, and we think we got the best player in the draft. I think Adam said that, and I met him as an individual, as a man, and you can all hear who he is.
How involved were you in this process?
This was a very important day for the franchise. I wanted to watch and learn and listen and see Adam, see Dan working, and so I was selectively involved, but certainly got to know a number of the quarterbacks, a number of the people that we were considering, and he stood out.
Josh, when did you know that he was the guy for your franchise?
I was obviously listening to our football people, to Adam and Dan, and early on we had an inkling, but obviously it took a lot of work to go from some of the statistics and some of the film that had been watched to the ultimate reality, and so there were a lot of meetings that happened along the way. And obviously, look, there was a lot of talented people in the draft, right? And so we all saw the draft last night, and all the quarterbacks that went, and there were a lot of talented guys. So we dotted our I's and crossed our T's, but we kind of were early on believing that he was the right person.
As someone who leans so hard into data in so much parts of your life, the fact that the quarterback, finding a good quarterback is so hard, what do you kind of make as you go through this process to why can't people figure this out, and what do you think you guys are able to do?
Yeah, so I mean, just watching tape with Coach Quinn, with Adam, with the scouts, listening to the quarterbacks themselves talk about it, it's like the hardest. It's a really hard position. I mean, for every play, you have everyone on the opposing team trying to basically kill you. They're all keying on you, and you've got very big guys out there trying to hit you. And then you have to you have to have the physical gifts to be able to throw and maneuver and run, but then you also have to have the mental processing capability to find the right person. So, and you have to learn a lot of schemes. So, I mean, it's just a really hard job, and so you need a unique individual. There's not a lot of people who can do it, and so that's why. And so it's a very challenging position. You need to be very mentally strong, very physically gifted, and agile.
You've been in pro sports for so long now, but
yeah.
Did this feel different, being the team you grew up rooting for, and being with a lot of your friends that are on the ownership group and everything?
Yeah, look, this is personal for me. I feel like we're on a mission for the city, for the DMV, and everyone's counting on us, and so yeah, it's big. This is a big deal. So I mean, obviously, I'm taking it really seriously. I'm devoting a lot of time to it, and thankfully we have an amazing front office coaching staff that's come together. Now I was here for the veteran mini camp, and every single veteran showed up. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. These guys don't have to show up. I mean, you see, all of our players. See Zach Ertz, Pro Bowl tight end. He doesn't have to be here, right? But they all came, and there's something really exciting going on here in DC and here in Virginia, and I think that I'm glad to be a part of it.
Josh, have you learned more about Adam Peters and the way he goes about all this, just the free agency and the selection of Jayden?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot about Adam. I've spent a lot of time with him. Spent a lot of time with Dan. He's extremely thorough. He works hard. He's very process-oriented and driven. And I've also gotten to know him more as an individual and as a person, and we get along well. And so far, it's gone great. I mean, we're 0-0. We're undefeated. So we all know who that is, but the group is really gelled. I mean, everyone is gelled. Like we were in the draft room with a lot of the new people, the older scouts, and everyone was working together. There was a lot of consensus around how we built our draft board, how we selected Jayden, but also more deeply. And so you see the group is really working well together, and obviously we're going to continue to add some people and add some capabilities, but it's good to see it's going so well.
As the owner, do you expect Jayden to be the week 1 starter?
I'm going to leave that to our football. I'm going to let Coach Quinn and Adam talk about that, particularly Coach Quinn.
As an organization, obviously, the work is not done, stadium, things like that. But from a football perspective, this might be the last big piece of this cycle. What have you got, starting from hiring Adam and Dan, what have you kind of learned the most? What have you kind of thought about where you guys are and how happy you are to be kind of where you're at this point?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think obviously Adam and Dan and their staffs did an amazing job in free agency, filling out our roster and taking the pressure off of the draft in terms of having to like feel. Obviously, we need a quarterback, but and we need some other things. But a lot of the positional needs we had were supplemented, and so now we're going into the draft with a lot of flexibility to really pick great players and great people, and so I think we've made a lot of progress. I mean, the job is not done, and we have today is incredibly important. Tomorrow is important. We have a lot of picks, and we're hoping we come out of this draft with pretty much uniformly people that are going to play and contribute. So I don't think that the work is done by any means, but as far as like the momentum and the excitement here and the excitement that I'm feeling at camp, and then all the change that's going on in a really positive way, it feels really different. So I think we're off to a great start, and then we just have to keep on going.
Got time for two more.
Josh, you've been part of rebuilds where a high draft pick becomes really an accelerant to changing things. So if it's done, if the person is correct, if you pick right, what does that do in terms of an organization being able to kind of move forward quicker?
Yeah, look, we all know what a good quarterback can do in this league, right? And so with the selection, Jay, I mean, obviously, last season was difficult for me to live through. It was difficult for all of us, the city, to live through. But, we ended up with second pick, right? And that gave us the opportunity to select someone who has been elite and can be elite, right? So if we end up with an elite quarterback, if we, build around that person, this thing can get going in a big way. I mean, so I'm optimistic. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to do everything we can to build a system around him, whether it's blocking, receiving, tight end. Like, we're going to have to build the capabilities around him, support, but, I mean, we're off to a good start.
Last one.
Josh, did a moment stand out to you when you were watching film, when you were meeting and Jayden was in there? Did any specific moment stand out to you?
Yeah, I think just listening to him as obviously his performance on the field, particularly last year, spoke for itself. He was right there in the discussion as being the best player of the draft. And, so the moment for me was, okay, this is a really hard, what I've learned is this is a really hard sport. And the mental side of it, particularly as a quarterback, unfortunately, the physical punishment that you have to take out there requires that drive and that focus and that work ethic. And so just being able to talk to him and hear him as an individual really stood out to me. And that was, obviously when he visited us here, I had a little bit of time with him in Indianapolis, but those were really big moments.